I want you to try a little thought experiment with me, just for a second. Picture the modern music industry.
Okay.
If I say global success, what's the first image that pops into your head?
Oh, that's easy. It's pretty standard, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing, glass skyscrapers in LA, boardrooms full of executives looking at spreadsheets,
Right. Expensive suits.
multi-million-dollar marketing budgets, and honestly, algorithms. Computers deciding what we're going to listen to before we even press play.
Exactly. It's a machine. We're sort of conditioned to believe that success in music is this manufactured product.
Yeah, you need the major label, you need the corporate sponsors.
You need the whole machine pushing you down people's throats. But
Yeah.
what if I told you there's a musician out there right now with a massive global reach, hundreds of songs, a genuinely viral presence,
Okay.
who has absolutely none of that?
None of it. I mean, usually when people say independent, they still mean they have a small label backing them, or maybe your wealthy family member is an investor.
No, I mean zero, no label, no sponsors, no paid marketing campaigns. Just a guy, his instruments, and what I can only describe as a slightly terrifying work ethic.
That sounds, it sounds statistically impossible. In the current landscape, if you aren't paying for visibility, you're usually just invisible. The algorithm buries you.
And yet, today's deep dive proves that wrong. We are looking at the career of Andy J. Martyn. He's an independent Ukraine composer and producer who is essentially taking the rule book on how to make it in music, setting it on fire, and then writing his own.
I've been really digging into his profile, and I have to admit, it challenges a lot of my own cynicism about the industry. It just raises this huge question.
Yeah.
How does an artist survive? And not just survive, but actually thrive, relying solely on organic growth in an age that is totally dominated by these pay-to-play mechanics.
That is the mission today. We're going to figure out how this works. We need to unpack his staggering output, which we will get to that because the numbers are just insane.
They really are.
The sheer variety of his catalog and this whole philosophy he lives by, feeling over formula.
Which is a lovely slogan, but in the music business, formula is usually what pays the mortgage. So, I mean, ignoring it is a risky move.
It's a huge risk, but let's start with this organic approach. You mentioned that usually independent has an asterisk next to it.
Right.
But with Martyn, the reporting is pretty adamant that he is working entirely without any financial backing.
And that's a really crucial distinction. Just think about the logistics of that for a second. In a major label setup, you have a department for everything. You've got a PR department, a social media team, graphic design, a distribution manager. If you're truly solo, you are doing all of that yourself.
You're the CEO and you're also the intern.
Precisely. And the danger there is usually creative burnout.
Yeah.
If you spend 8 hours a day figuring out how to optimize your metadata for Spotify or designing a thumbnail for YouTube,
Right.
that's 8 hours you aren't writing music. Usually the art suffers because the business just takes over.
Yeah. But looking at Martyn's career, the art hasn't suffered. In fact, the output is exploding. But before we get to the volume, I want to push on this anti-algorithm idea. You really think it's possible to grow without, feeding the machine?
It's harder, for sure, but it's more sustainable. Think of it this way. When you pay for a marketing campaign, you're buying impressions.
Okay.
You are forcing your song into someone's feed. They might listen, but they didn't ask for it. It's kind of intrusive.
It's like a pop-up ad for your ears.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Martyn's growth is driven by genuine listener connection. It's word of mouth. It's someone hearing a track, feeling something, and sending it to a friend.
It's a slower burn.
It's a slower burn, but it builds a foundation of concrete. Paid growth is like building on sand. The second you stop paying, the audience just vanishes.
So he's building the house brick by brick. And where is this house being built? Because he's a UK artist, so I'd assume the fan base is mostly London, maybe a bit of Europe.
You would assume that, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually indie artists stay local for a long, long time. But his reach is bizarrely global.
Right.
We're seeing significant listener bases in the USA, Europe, Australia.
Really all over the map.
Okay, but who are these people? Because when I hear viral internet success and independent producer, my mind immediately goes to teenagers.
Gen Z on TikTok.
Gen Z on TikTok and nobody else.
And that's where you'd be wrong. The demographic data here is fascinating. His listeners range from 18 all the way up to the 65-plus bracket.
Wait, 65 plus? That is a massive spread. Usually music is the most segregated thing in the world when it comes to age. My dad definitely does not listen to what I listen to.
It's so rare to see that kind of crossover. But if you think about it, trends are age-specific. a certain drum beat, a slang term in a lyric, a fashion aesthetic, those things target a very specific generation. So if you're hitting 18-year-olds and 65-year-olds at the same time, it tells us something very specific about the music.
It tells us he isn't chasing trends. Exactly. He's tapping into something universal. Emotions don't have an age limit. Nostalgia, comfort, a sense of cinematic drama, those feelings are just as potent for a retiree as they are for a college student.
So by avoiding the cool factor,
He's actually made himself accessible to everyone.
that makes so much sense. He's bypassing the cool kids table and just talking to the whole cafeteria.
That is a great way to put it.
All right, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Or maybe the reindeer in the room. Because when I was reading through his profile, I hit a number that made me stop and actually reread the sentence to make sure it wasn't a typo.
I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah.
The holiday collection.
The Holiday Collection. Andy J. Martyn has written over 300 original Christmas songs.
It is a staggering number.
300. I struggle to write one coherent Christmas card once a year. I sit there with the pen hovering thinking, I hope you have a nice time. And he has written 300 songs.
And we need to emphasize that word original. This isn't him just recording Silent Night and Jingle Bells over and over again.
Which is what most artists do. You know, a Michael Bublé or a Mariah Carey, they might write one or two new ones, and then they cover the classics. And why? Because writing a new Christmas song is incredibly hard.
It's arguably the hardest challenge in songwriting. Think about the constraints. You have a very, very limited palette of themes. Snow, Santa, bells, fireplaces,
Wow.
joy, peace.
That's about it.
That's it. If you stray too far, it doesn't feel like Christmas. But if you stay too close, it just sounds like a cliche.
Right.
So to find 300 distinct musical ways to navigate those same 5 or 6 themes, that requires a level of creative stamina. That is, it's just hard to overstate. It's like a chef being told they can only use potatoes and salt,
Yeah.
but they have to make 300 completely different dishes.
And he's doing this year after year. I have to wonder, is there a business strategy here? Or does he just really, really love tinsel?
I think it's both. From a business perspective, it's actually brilliant. Holiday music is the only genre that guarantees a surge in traffic every single year. It's perennial. And by building this massive catalog of originals, he owns 100% of the publishing. If he covers White Christmas, he has to pay royalties to the Irving Berlin estate. If he writes his own, he keeps everything.
So he's building a library of assets that just wake up and work for him every December.
Correct. But you can't fake 300 songs just for the money. The audience can smell a cash grab. The profile notes that most of these tracks have original lyrics and a deeply personal and emotional layer.
So he's treating Christmas not as a commercial holiday, but as a feeling.
He's using that seasonal framework to tell personal stories. And because he does that, listeners come back year after year. It becomes part of their tradition.
But here's the danger. If you write 300 Christmas songs, don't you risk becoming the Christmas guy?
That's the trap.
Like, people only check for you in December and then they just ignore you in July.
That is the classic trap.
Yeah.
But Martyn seems to have sidestepped it. The source material is very clear that his work goes way, way beyond the holidays.
Yeah.
The Christmas stuff is just the tip of the iceberg.
And the rest of that iceberg is weirdly diverse.
Yeah.
I want to read you the list of genres that are mentioned in the profile because it reads like a playlist made by 5 different people.
Let's hear it.
Okay, we've got ethereal trance wave, atmospheric electronic soundscapes, cinematic rock, piano-led ambience, lo-fi textures, seasonal jazz, and festive orchestral pieces.
That is a lot.
Hold on, rewind. Ethereal trance wave, did he just make that up? What even is that?
It sounds made up, doesn't it? But think of it this way. Trance is a high-energy dance genre, very repetitive, driving beats.
Okay.
Trance wave usually slows that down, adds some synthwave aesthetics, the 80s neon nostalgia. And ethereal, that just means soaking it in reverb, making it dreamy and floating. So it's dance music for dreaming, essentially.
Okay, I can picture that. But then he jumps to cinematic rock and then to seasonal jazz. How do you get away with that? In the traditional industry, if you walk into a label meeting and say, I do jazz, techno, and rock, they show you the door.
Right. They'd say, we don't know how to market you. The industry relies on formulas. They want to put you in a box. You are the country singer. You are the rapper. You are the EDM DJ.
Formulas are predictable.
And predictable sells because it's easy to target.
So the algorithm must hate variety.
The algorithm despises variety. If a user listens to your jazz track, the algorithm thinks, okay, this is a jazz artist. If your next song is heavy rock, the algorithm serves it to that jazz listener They skip it, and the algorithm thinks, oh, this song is bad. It punishes you for pivoting.
So by all rights, Martyn should have failed. He's breaking the cardinal rule of the algorithm.
He is. But this brings us back to his core philosophy: feeling over formula. He creates instinctively. If he wakes up and feels like making a lo-fi beat, he makes it. If he feels like orchestrating a symphony, he does that.
It sounds a little chaotic, though.
It creates a chaotic catalog, yes.
Yeah.
But for the listener, it creates authenticity. People are so tired of over-polished, committee-designed music.
Mm-hmm.
When they hear Martyn, they hear a human being exploring their creativity, not a brand trying to stay on message.
But there has to be a thread, right? If I put his whole catalog on shuffle, is it going to give me whiplash? What ties cinematic rock to piano ambience?
That's the key question.
Yeah.
And the answer is in the emotional palette. The profile mentions specific feelings: nostalgia, warmth, and cinematic depth.
Nostalgia is a powerful drug.
It's the most powerful drug in music. Regardless of the genre, whether he's using a synthesizer or a cello, he is aiming for that same emotional center. He wants to uplift, comfort, and inspire.
So the function of the music is consistent, even if the sound changes.
Exactly. It's functional music. It's the soundtrack to your life.
Yeah.
Maybe you need the raw track for your morning run, and the lo-fi track for studying, and the ambient track for sleeping. He's providing the score for every scene in your day.
And we know this is working because the numbers back it up. We aren't just, guessing that people like it.
No, the engagement metrics are very real.
The profile lists hundreds of saves, thousands of playlist additions. But there was one stat that really stood out to me. Over 100 TikTok sounds.
Now, that is a very modern, very specific metric of success.
Explain that to me. Why should I care about TikTok sounds? Isn't that just teenagers dancing?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Think about the difference between a Spotify stream and a TikTok sound. The stream is passive. You press play, you wash the dishes, the music sort of happens to you.
Okay.
A TikTok sound is active. If someone uses Andy J. Martyn's music in their video, they are making a creative choice. They're taking his art and using it to help tell their story. Maybe they're showing a montage of their vacation or a sad moment or a funny pet video. They are co-opting his emotion to amplify their own life.
It's a collaboration.
It is. And to have over 100 sounds being used, that means people are finding his library to be an incredibly useful toolkit for their own expression. That creates a bond that is way deeper than just hearing a song on the radio.
It circles right back to that organic growth we started with. You can't force someone to use your song in a video about their dog.
You could pay influencers to do it, but we know he isn't doing that.
Yeah.
So if they are using it, it's because the music genuinely fits the mood. It validates that emotional layer we were talking about. The music just speaks for itself.
It's incredibly impressive. And for anyone listening who is thinking, okay, this sounds cool, but is it hard to find? No. The profile notes he is on basically every platform: YouTube, TikTok, Spotify.
And new releases arrive regularly. This isn't some museum archive. He's constantly adding to it.
Which brings us back to that terrifying work ethic.
It's relentless.
So let's zoom out. What does this all mean for us? Why does Andy J. Martyn matter to someone who maybe isn't a musician?
I think he represents a really hopeful signal in a very noisy world. We spend so much time worrying that creativity is dying.
Yeah.
We worry that AI and algorithms are flattening everything into the same boring gray sludge. We worry that you need $1 million just to be heard.
It feels like the little guy doesn't have a chance.
Exactly. But Martyn proves that just isn't true. He proves that if you have the output, and I can't stress that enough, you have to do the work, you have to write the 300 songs, but if you have the output and authenticity, you can find a global audience without the machinery.
It's a victory for independent creativity.
It is. It's a reminder that the beatkeepers are losing their keys. You don't need permission to build a career anymore. You just need to build the connection, listener by listener.
And it shows that you don't have to pick a lane. We're always told to niche down, find your brand. And Martyn just says, no, I'm just going to make what I feel.
Let the music speak. That's the tagline mentioned in the source. Discover the journey. Follow the sound. Let the music speak.
It sounds simple, but in a world of aggressive marketing, letting the music speak is actually a pretty radical act.
It requires patience and trust, trusting that the audience is smart enough to find you.
So here's the thought I want to leave you with today. We live in this optimization culture. We optimize our sleep, our diets, our workflows. The music industry optimizes everything for the algorithm. But Andy J. Martyn's success comes from feeling rather than formula.
Right.
So In your own life, whether you're an artist or you just enjoy discovering new things, what is the value of stepping away from that optimized path? What is the value of finding art that speaks from a place of raw feeling, even if it's a bit messy or genre bending?
Perhaps the journey of discovering something raw and independent is just as important as the sound itself. It's about taking back the discovery process, trusting your own ears, not just the playlist generator.
I love that. Trust your ears. And hey, maybe go listen to a Christmas song in July. Why not?
Why not? If there are 300 of them, you better start now if you want to finish by December.
That is a very, very good point. All right, that's it for this deep dive into the world of Andy J. Martyn. Go find the music, let it speak to you, and we will catch you on the next one.
Goodbye, everyone.